what it comes down to is how is the system supposed to figure out what you're actually thinking about? And generally, if you put more variables into the system and give it more degrees of freedom, it will find a whole lot more analogies that are plausible, and then it might decide, you're playing with your elbow or your foot or something else, and it's not what you want. So we feel that using CCA with affine transformations is a pretty good compromise where we have a fair flexibility of possible analogies without giving the system too many options.
Thank you. Well, was there any reason why in your arm swinging example, the mimic or the analogy didn't also go to the thighs or the knee? Or was that just sort of luck that the analogy did pick up the arms but not the legs?
That is a good question. It turns out that there's, if you look at the degrees of freedom curves, there's actually slight nuances that make my arm swing look slightly more like arm swinging rather than thigh movements. What can happen is if I don't do as good of a job of swinging the arms, is it might decide that the legs will look equally bad. That's not the way I can say it. So what that means is that you could simply try again. It's an interactive approach, so if you're not happy with the mapping, you just try again, a couple seconds later. Now, if you just want to say to just do the left arm and not the right arm, then you have to utilize some extra control in the system to just say, I just want to do the left arm. Thanks. Okay, great. Thanks. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Srinivas, for the introduction. As the title already indicates, we're going to talk about 3D scanning. And that means in our case, particularly the 3D scanning of such materials that are widely considered to be unscannable because of their optical properties. As an example, we have a video of a handmade glass mouse on the left and a simple rendering of the 3D geometry recovered by our method. So first, let us quickly recall how a typical 3D scanner is built. A laser projector sends out a line of light towards the object, effectively illuminating one plane in space, and the intersection line between this plane and the object will become visible as a bright contour that can be observed by a camera. And this allows us to determine 3D positions of the surface points via triangulation. Most commercial 3D scanners are based on this principle, and of course there has been a lot of related work in the literature. Our approach uses essentially the same devices with one difference, and that is we place the object in a participating medium. And now the laser line projected by the laser projector turns into a sheet of light inside the volume. And the idea is to detect where this laser sheet ends and use that information to scan the space in front of the object, which is somehow dual to the object itself. Why would we want to do that? Now, there are some materials for which there's no such thing as a bright line or profile on the surface we can observe if we just illuminate it. For instance, the translucent dolphin on the left, if we just shine a laser line on the surface, we get an entirely glowing object, and it can be rather hard to determine the exact location of the surface contour. And yeah, so this concerns all materials with subsurface light transport, but also on the right, this toy horse consists of a rather dark material, and the low reflectivity can also cause errors. And in all these cases, the surfaces we would typically get from a conventional 3D scanner are incomplete and rather noisy. This problem has been recognized in the recent time and also been addressed by many publications in the last few years, but mostly for very specific cases. Here, for instance, inhomogeneous transparent objects, or specular or dark objects, or translucent objects. And with our approach, we hope to scan all materials regardless of how they reflect light. Another work that is in some way related to our work is the structured light